What happens when a nation built on discipline, spirit, and sacrifice finally realizes that the enemy they thought they understood was fighting a completely different kind of war, one they could never win? What did Japan's highest commanders actually say when they discovered the full, terrifying scope of American power? Stay with me till the end to find out, and don't forget to subscribe, like, and share your thoughts in the comments if you want more untold, true stories from World War II.
In the quiet, dimly lit underground chambers beneath the Imperial Palace in Tokyo, August 1945 began not with explosions, but with confusion. Reports filtered in from the south. Hiroshima had been destroyed. Not bombed, not burned, but obliterated. Entire districts gone in an instant. No one could comprehend it. The first messages from field observers used words like new type of explosive and unimaginable destruction. At first, many in the Imperial General Headquarters dismissed it as American propaganda. Japan's cities had already suffered through firebombings. Tokyo itself had burnt, Osaka, Nagoya, Yokohama. What could possibly be worse than that? But within hours, the scale of the truth began to sink in. Pilots sent to reconnoiter Hiroshima reported back in disbelief, the city has vanished. One of the airmen said that even from 10,000 feet, there were no identifiable buildings left, only a gray-white wasteland like the surface of the moon. Even the military command post, thought to be deep underground, was gone. The message reached the war room by 2 p.m., August 7th. By then, the first American broadcasts had already confirmed it. The United States had used a new weapon, a single bomb capable of destroying an entire city. That evening, Japan's Supreme War Council, known as the Big Six, met in secrecy. Prime Minister Suzuki, Foreign Minister Togo, War Minister Anami, Navy Minister Yonai, and the chiefs of the Army and Navy General Staff. The atmosphere was unlike anything since the war began. There were no speeches about honor, no fiery talk of the 100 million dying together, only silence, broken by the scratch of pens and the shuffling of documents. Foreign Minister Togo was the first to speak. "If the enemy possesses more of these weapons," he said, "our nation cannot endure." No one replied. General Anami, known for his stoicism and fierce loyalty to the emperor, sat motionless. Then Admiral Toyoda, chief of the Navy General Staff, spoke quietly. "It is not only the weapon," he said. "It is what the weapon represents." That night, Toyoda called for the latest intercepted American transmissions and industrial intelligence summaries. What they showed stunned the room. The United States had produced over 100 aircraft carriers, more than Japan had ever dreamed possible. Their shipyards were launching a new carrier almost every week at the height of the war. American aircraft production had reached 96,000 planes in a single year, more than the entire Japanese output from 1939 to 1945 combined. One report stated that the Americans had enough aluminum to produce 10,000 bombers just sitting in reserve. General Anami read through the data slowly, his hand trembling slightly. "We thought they could not sustain such losses," he whispered. "We thought their people would tire of war." Admiral Toyoda looked up, his voice low but firm. "They did not tire. They multiplied." As the days passed, the grim reality grew darker still. On August 8th, another blow fell. The Soviet Union had declared war on Japan. The Red Army was pouring into Manchuria, sweeping through the Kwantung Army's lines in days. Reports came in of entire divisions disintegrating, their defenses crushed by overwhelming firepower. To the Japanese High Command, this was the final confirmation. The empire was surrounded, and there was no longer a path to victory, no matter how much spirit they summoned. That night, in the emperor's underground shelter, a special meeting was called. Emperor Hirohito himself listened in silence as his ministers debated. General Anami still argued that Japan should fight one more decisive battle to secure better surrender terms, but Admiral Yonai interjected sharply. "Anami," he said, "you still believe in victory by will, but what if the enemy's will is steel?" Silence followed. The room understood what Yonai meant. The Americans had not fought this war as Japan had imagined. They had not relied on spirit or sacrifice, but on industry, science, and organization. Their entire society had become a war machine, every factory, every laboratory, every shipyard. And behind it all, an economy that dwarfed the Japanese Empire 20 times over. Then came a report from the intelligence section that chilled even the hardest men in the room. The Manhattan Project, the American program that built the atomic bomb, had cost nearly $2 billion. That was more than Japan's entire national war budget for 1944. The scale of it was incomprehensible. While Japan struggled to produce a few hundred aircraft a month, the United States was building entire fleets. While Japanese scientists fought shortages of aluminum, copper, and fuel, America had built entire new cities, Oak Ridge, Hanford, Los Alamos, just to refine uranium and plutonium. Admiral Toyoda broke the stunned silence again. "We have fought not only the United States, we have fought the 20th century."
By August 9th, the second atomic bomb fell, this time on Nagasaki. Word reached Tokyo just before the next War Council convened. When the report arrived, several officers openly wept, not only because of the destruction, but because it confirmed what they feared. The Americans had more than one bomb. The weapon was not a bluff. In the minutes that followed, something inside the high command cracked. General Anami, once unshakable, stared at the table. "We told our soldiers that spirit could overcome material," he said softly. "We told them that courage would balance steel." He paused, tears forming in his eyes. "We lied to them." The minutes from that meeting, later declassified, recorded his exact words. "The enemy we face is not merely strong in weapons. They are strong in thought, in science, in the power of unity. We did not understand this." Later that night, Emperor Hirohito made his decision. He would speak directly to the people, ordering surrender. It would be the first time in history that a Japanese emperor's voice was heard by his subjects. The military leaders bowed deeply as he left the room. Many knew what that meant for them personally. On the morning of August 14th, General Anami wrote his final statement. "My death is my apology to the Emperor for the great crime." He then committed seppuku in his quarters. His blood was found on the floorboards beside a folded document, his last military order, instructing his men to obey the Emperor's surrender directive without resistance. That same morning, American analysts intercepted final Japanese transmissions summarizing post-war assessments. One section stood out. It read, "Our intelligence was blind, our strategy emotional. We believed endurance could overcome production. We have learned too late that modern war is won not by faith alone, but by the mastery of energy and matter." In one particularly haunting note found in a Japanese naval archive, an unnamed officer wrote, "We fought an enemy whose factories were as numerous as our prayers." By the time the surrender was announced on August 15th, the war rooms beneath Tokyo were silent, not from defeat alone, but from the weight of realization. The Japanese High Command had spent years believing they understood the United States. Soft, divided, materialistic. They had imagined that spirit,
tradition, and sacrifice could overweight machines, science, and industry. But as they now understood, America had never truly been fighting at full strength. It had been holding back. Only when the atomic bomb fell, and the Soviets attacked, and the full truth of American production came to light, did they finally grasp what kind of power they had challenged. The final post-war reflection, written by Admiral Toyoda, summarized it best. We thought we were fighting men. We were fighting an idea, a system built on infinite capacity. And that, perhaps, was the most devastating truth of all. Because in the end, it was not the bomb, nor the invasion, nor even the Emperor's command that truly ended Japan's war. It was understanding. Understanding that no amount of courage could stand against a machine that never tired, never ran out, and never stopped building. And so, on August 15th, when the Emperor's voice echoed across the radio waves, speaking of enduring the unendurable, millions of Japanese soldiers and citizens bowed their heads, not only in grief, but in recognition that for all their valor, they had misunderstood the modern world. This is what the Japanese High Command said when they finally understood American power. If this story moved you, make sure to like this video, subscribe for more true and untold stories of World War II, and share your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think Japan's leaders felt in those final moments? Fear, regret, or relief?